The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, hopes are high and sentiments are positive as the IMF board review gets underway in New York. The newest cabinet decisions lay the groundwork for new FTAs and tariff policies. The green streak is over and done with as both ASPI and S&P SL20 close off with losses. And Hutch says hello to convenience with a revolutionary Oneload service. A very good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. The IMF board discussions are currently underway, with focus being on the second review of the Extended Fund Facility and Article 4 consultation today. State Minister for Finance Shahan Semasinghe said that he expected a favourable review from the International Monetary Fund. Sri Lanka's State Minister for Finance Shahan Semasinghe said that he expected a favourable review from the International Monetary Fund. The IMF board is scheduled to discuss the second review of the Extended Fund Facility and Article 4 consultation today. Semasinghe said on X that he remains optimistic that the international partners will continue to support Sri Lanka's efforts. The loan amount expected to be approved under this is $335 million. Dr. Chandranath Amrasekara, the Assistant Governor of the Central Bank, said there are expectations to receive updates on the completed second review by midnight. The government was in the final steps of finalizing the debt restructuring agreements with continued support from bilateral partners. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said the Cabinet of Ministers have approved the starting of relevant negotiations for a free trade agreement with Malaysia. Along with this decision, it was also taken in the Cabinet of discussions today for the implementation of its national tariff policy in 3 phases from January of next year.
The ministry stated that Malaysia is a 34th export destination for Sri Lanka currently. Total export value from Sri Lanka to Malaysia was $58.34 million in 2023. According to the Export Development Board, total imports from Malaysia to Sri Lanka for the same period were $736.39 million. Sri Lanka hopes to sign FTAs with the other ASEAN member states after debt restructuring is complete. Sri Lanka is looking beyond strengthening ties with its largest traditional export destinations, the USA and the EU, to deeper integration with South Asia, Southeast Asia and East Asian nations. Several free trade deals with Asia and Pacific have generated sharply more exports than imports. And on the new tariff policy, Minister Bandula Gunawardena said a clear, simple, coherent and predictable tariff system is a critical factor in maintaining a competitive environment for trade and investment within the country.
Sri Lanka's treasuries yields edged slightly higher today at today's auctions, with 215 billion rupees of bills sold, but with lower volumes of 12-month bills. The 3-month yield went up 19 basis points to 8.89%, with 40 billion rupees of bills offered and 48.4 billion sold. The 6-month bill yield was up at 9.30%, with 100 billion rupees offered and 101.6 billion sold. The 12-month bill yield went up 27 basis points to 9.54%, with 75 billion rupees offered and 54.8 billion in bills sold. The debt office offered 215 billion rupees of bills and raised a similar amount in different maturities. Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda underscored the commitment of the government to protecting and revitalizing Olduville Port, citing its significance for the advancement of the country. He commended the President's initiatives in resolving past congestion problems and reinstating regularity in civil life, declaring his support for the President's candidacy in the upcoming presidential election. Addressing a press briefing titled "Collective Path to a Stable Country," Minister further stated that today, stakeholders, together with the Port Authority Navy officials, industry experts, local intellectuals and community representatives convened to deliberate on the restoration and reactivation of Olduville Port. The focus is on preserving resources, enhancing port operations and addressing community needs. The objective is to harness the port's potential for national development. Urgency is paramount as they strive to expedite progress towards objectives. It was disclosed that even though it is clearly stated by law that online casinos cannot be carried out, online casinos operate in the open, depriving the country of the revenue due without any implications. The chair of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Hutch, directed that a letter be sent to the Minister of Finance requesting for his immediate attention regarding the matter.
The importance of establishing a casino regulator was also highlighted at the Committee on Public Finance. Officials representing the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank also was of the view that many issues pertaining to casinos can be resolved following the establishment of casino regulator. The chair instructed the officials present to take immediate measures and not to delay further the necessary laws to establish a regulatory authority, which is very important to attract foreign investors and to collect the revenue due to the government from the casino business. Following the aforesaid discussion, the committee took into consideration the regulations under Section 4, read with Section 3 of the Casino Business Regulation Act No. 17 of 2010. The regulation and order was then approved by the committee following careful consideration.
The United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, Inland Revenue Department, the University of Moratuwa and the National Innovation Agency of Sri Lanka, co-convened the first ever National Tax Dialogue to address contemporary issues surrounding taxation and fiscal policies in Sri Lanka.
In light of the ongoing economic reforms and the need to bring in citizens' representatives, the National Dialogue drew attention to tax morale, social, physical contract, fairness in taxation, transparency and accountability of revenue institutions and digitalization of public service delivery. The dialogue launched research findings from the first taxpayer perception study in Sri Lanka, collaboratively conducted by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and UNDP in Sri Lanka. The nationally representative study revealed public perceptions on issues surrounding tax burden, evasion trust to institutions, and experiences with revenue institutions, which are particularly pertinent in the context of institutional reform. By bringing together over 100 stakeholders representing diverse interests and perspectives, the dialogue served as a platform for the exchange of opinions and sharing of insights across various awareness levels.
A memorandum of understanding was signed between the Ministry of Agriculture and Plantation Industries and the Government of Oman with the aim of boosting agricultural activities in both countries. The MOU was signed on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka by the Minister of Agriculture and Plantation Industry, Mr. Mahinda Amaravira, and Mr. Ahmed Ali Said Al Rashdi, the Ambassador of Oman to Sri Lanka on behalf of the Government of Oman. The events covered by this MOU included official visits by researchers, studies and research, promotion of import and export of agricultural products and many other things that were agreed upon. Minister Mahinda Amaravira, who expressed his opinion, also mentioned that this MOU is a historic agreement reached between Oman and Sri Lanka. The minister also said that this strengthened the friendship between the two nations. Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The greens from last week leading up to just yesterday have been put a stop to at the CSE today as both ASPI and S&P SL20 closed in the red, recording losses for the first time this week at the end of today's trading session. For more on this, we have Brendan Fernando from SC Securities.
Yes, all-share price index closed at 12,390, showing a decrease of 4 points, and the S&P SL20 index closed at 3,692, showing an increase of 4 points. The turnover was at 1.65 billion rupees with a share volume of 65.8 million, showing a positive sentiment on the market. The top 5 gainers were Nation Lanka Finance, Vidulanka, Asri Surgical Hospital, Renuka Hotels. Haley's, People Leasing and Finance, Commercial Bank recorded the highest turnover during today's session. A crossing of 99.6 million by Commercial Bank, 95.3 million by HMB, 61.2 million by John Keys Holdings, 41.3 million by CSE Holdings, 38.4 million by People's Leasing and Finance, 31 million by Brown's Investments, and 21.4 million by DFCC Bank was recorded for the day.
The market saw some slight spikes and upsets as there was anticipation for the largest ever bond auction to take place tomorrow, increasing some participation. To get a rundown on how the market behaved today, let's connect with Vinodini Rajapupati from First Capital Holdings.
Today's Treasury bill auction saw a modest increase in rates for the second consecutive session, which had a slight impact on shorter-term yields in the secondary market. The total amount offered during the T-bill auction today was 215 billion rupees and it was fully accepted, while yields saw an increase of more than 19 basis points across the board. The 3-month bill was accepted at a weighted average yield rate of 8.89% with an increase of 19 basis points from 8.70% last week. Similarly, a weighted average rate of 9.30% was accepted for the 6-month bill with an increase of 26 basis points from the previous week, while a weighted average yield rate of 9.54% was accepted for the 1-year bill, marking an increase of 27 basis points from the previous week. The main reason for the increase in auction yields is mainly due to investors taking a wait-and-see approach, driven by the anticipation of tomorrow's major bond auction valued at 295 billion rupees and the uncertainty surrounding the outcome of today's IMF meeting.
Gold prices moved very little in Asian trade today, hovering around a key support level as traders hunkered down before more definitive cues on US rates from a Federal Reserve meeting and inflation data. Spot gold fell 0.1% to $2,313.76 an ounce, while gold futures expiring in August rose 0.2% to $2,330.10 an ounce. The yellow metal was nursing a sharp decline in recent sessions as traders priced out expectations of US rate cuts in the face of sticky inflation and a robust labor market. Meanwhile, oil prices ticked higher today amid upbeat global demand views from the U.S. Energy Information Administration and OPEC, reinforced by industry data showing U.S. crude oil inventories fell more than expected last week. Brent crude futures rose 50 cents or 0.6% to $82.42 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 62 cents or 0.8% to $78.52. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today compared to yesterday. According to People's Bank, the buying and selling rates of the dollar have increased from 297 rupees and 63 cents to 297 rupees and 87 cents and from 307 rupees and 71 cents to 377 rupees and 96 cents respectively. At commercial bank, the buying rate of the dollar has increased from 296 rupees and 58 cents to 297 rupees and 33 cents, while the selling rate has increased from 306 rupees and 75 cents to 307 rupees and 50 cents. Now let's observe how the rupee has behaved against other global currencies. Going in for a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's premier connectivity provider Hutch Sri Lanka introduced a game-changing proposition, the Hutch Oneload, a first-of-its-kind pioneering initiative that ensures that the public is always open for an option. For people looking to simplify their lives and achieve great savings at the same time, Oneload is it.
The Hutch Oneload innovation allows you to renew your mobile subscription just once a year and enjoy uninterrupted year-long connectivity. The 2,499 rupees a year plan provides 120 GB of data and 6,000 minutes of calls to any network along with unlimited WhatsApp the entire year. The data and minutes are portioned across each month and features the innovative data rollover, enabling any unused quota to be carried forward to the following month. A mid-tier plan priced at 8,999 rupees for the year provides a generous 360 GB of data, unlimited access to the top social apps and unlimited calls to any network all year. The unlimited plan is priced at 14,999 rupees. All Hutch Oneload products also come with a money-back guaranteed, assuring for an absolute peace of mind on purchase.
Minister of Labour Manusha Kara has met with International Labour Organization Director General Gilbert F. Hongsbo to discuss labour reforms. Hongsbo said that the ILO will support Sri Lanka's program to upskill workers aimed at the international labour market.
The provisions in the new Employment Act aimed at combating discrimination, workplace violence and protecting domestic workers were discussed at the meeting. In order to increase female employment in the formal sector, the Labour Ministry discussed a project with the ILO and the International Organization for Migration to train care workers. Sri Lanka also plans to ratify several international instruments pertaining to labour law.
The eagerly anticipated 11th Annual CFA Society Sri Lanka Capital Market Awards is scheduled to be held on the 18th of June of 2024 at the Oak Room at Cinnamon Grand. The CFA Society Sri Lanka Capital Market Awards has been a flagship event in the CFA Society Sri Lanka calendar since its inception in 2012 and is among the most sought-after accolades recognizing and rewarding excellence in the local capital markets. This year's event will be held under the theme of the power of public-private partnerships, focusing on the current status of public-private partnerships or PPPs in Sri Lanka and their future potential. The discussion will focus on key topics including the rationale for PPPs and the context in which they are beneficial to an economy and the importance of project identification and preparation in ensuring the success of a PPP. Sun Siam Pasikuda, part of the Sun Siam Resorts Group, announced the launch of a Care Fund project, an initiative to foster the well-being of a young elephant named Carlo at the Elephant Transit Home in Udawalawe, Sri Lanka.
The Care Fund project, supported by Sun Siam Pasikuda and in collaboration with the Department of Wildlife Conservation of Sri Lanka, embodies a profound commitment to biodiversity, conservation and responsible tourism practices. By partnering with the Elephant Transit Home, Sun Siam Pasikuda provides essential care for Carlo, who was rescued from Anuradhapura district after falling into an abundant well near forest area. At approximately 8 months old, he was subsequently brought to the Elephant Transit Home on March 23, 2024, where he's received expert care under the supervision of the wildlife veterinarians from the Department of Wildlife Conservation. Sun Siam Pasikuda made a steadfast commitment to Carlo's care, vowing continuous support until his eventual release back into the wild.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Shares were mixed today in Asia ahead of a decision by the Federal Reserve on interest rates. Tokyo's Nikkei 225 index lost 0.7% to 38,876.71. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index sank 1.3% to 17,946.46, while Shanghai Composite Index rebounded, gaining 0.3% to 3,037.47. Australia's S&P ASX 200 shed 0.5% to 7,700 115.50. In Bangkok, the SET was flat. Gains in technology shares pushed prices higher in South Korea, where the Kospi rose 0.8% to 2,728.17, and in Taiwan, whose TAINEX jumped 1.2%. Well, that concludes today's Nightly Business Report. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest happening around the business globe. Until then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Have a good night.